Welcome to the Fresh Inspiration Show with founder and host Rhonda Liebig, energy revitalizer and mindset freedom coach and #1 best-selling author. We are here to freshly inspire you, uplift you, and transform you with our unique mindset transformation entertainment show. Get ready as we kick it into high gear, arousing your motivation in lifestyle, vitality, and business. But before we walk through the threshold and start the Fresh Inspiration Show, take a deep breath. Check in. What is your level of belief in you to conquer this new world? And then do yourself a favor. Before you exit our show, ask yourself, what is your level of transformation? Because we know if you believe it, you can achieve it. And that's why the biggest, best, and boldest inspirers are here for you right now. Buckle up. Yeah, you've got this.
Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration.
Back to the Fresh Inspiration Show today. I want you to check in and see how you feel today. My purpose of putting this together and doing this for almost 4 years is that I really feel, especially right now, but even before that, that there's so many big needs about how to feel inspired, how to stop that vicious cycle that happens in our mind to be able to clear and move forward from things of some hurt and pain that we've had in life. Maybe some current things that are showing up that we don't know how to stay in our higher purpose. And when you get the opportunity to spend more than 1 hour in a community and you have different experts coming in, you get so many different angles of approaches and way that you can really believe in yourself. Because you think of each individual expert that's here for you, you know, we all at some point were in situations that we didn't feel so good about ourselves or didn't feel good about ourselves with relationships, ourselves with the way that our brain thought. And we didn't know how to fix it at some point. Or we did, but maybe a little bit. But as you're seeing these experts, they've been doing this for years. So whatever level or layer that you're at in bringing in all this good juju, then let this be a part of your healing process is this special day. Janet Kaleri is next. And while I'm speaking a lot about the brain and the mindset and the flow is, what would you do if you had a brain injury and you thought that that was going to be who you are and you didn't know how to get out of it? Janet Kaleri is going to be one to represent that today in her visible transitions approach. And so that you understand that we all are coming together, and the piece that we really need right now is, how do we help the brain start thinking differently when we're in fear, when we feel like we're not good enough, and we have a hard time getting into our passion because maybe we're afraid to take that next step. Earlier this morning, we were discussing how some people in our community are in transition and how fearful that is. And Janet earlier today, Janet Kaleri was talking about that she's on her new journey of moving in a few days. And with her healing right at the beginning of this year, right before the coronavirus, is that she was trying to heal her brain, and she started using her tools as her brain was starting to come to life of, I need to be my best VIP client. Laura Kaleri, thank you for coming in and giving us this time And I want to open up the space for you to jumpstart in your discussion today and how you would like to.
Thank you, Rhonda. Hi, everyone. Thanks for
Hi,
having me. This is exciting.
I'm loving
Yeah,
it.
I don't spend a lot of time on computers, and when I said yes to this, I knew I would have healed a certain amount to be well enough to be here. So, hi, everyone. I'm wearing my sunglasses. I have a sensitivity to screens and lights, and that's the disclaimer. So yeah, I'm a life transitions expert, and I help you go from overwhelmed to overjoyed using curiosity and a smartphone camera. So technology can sometimes take us away from our being present and connected and from our personal power. And I say, let's put it right back with curiosity and a camera. One of the most frequent questions I get is usually like, I hate. So it could be like, I hate having a brain injury. I hate corona apocalypse. I just wish it would go away, right? I wish it would be different. And so the work that I do with my clients and my group participants, and it's going in my next book, is to answer that question. So I just wish it would go away. How many of you say that about something in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I cope with all the stress and remain calm in the midst of wanting to quit? And we're being shaken out of our complacency right now. All of us are being shaken out of our complacency and to one degree or another. And one of my answers to the question is, what's the adventure? What's the opportunity? So, I hate this, XYZ. I wish it would go away. How do I cope with the stress and remain calm in the midst of wanting to quit? And a second answer is with a question, curiosity. Do you think that resisting the situation is inflaming your stress or making your experience calmer and easier? So you can use this for any topic in your life, and how do you lower your stress and remain calm? So that I'm going to answer it with that question. Do you think resisting the situation is inflaming your stress or making your experience calmer and easier? Another question as an answer is, what would happen for you if you were to pause in curiosity, like a child in wonder, like those horses? Oh, do you think you'd have better access to solutions then? When we're being shaken out of complacency, when we're in life changes, even when they're pleasant, like getting married or having a baby, for example, or starting a new job, there's still a level of stress. So we do have better access to solutions when we are in that curiosity versus resistance. And we're more proactive versus reactive. So we're not giving up our power to an external agency. And it's very hard for my brain to connect dots, so pardon me if I get this incorrect. I believe it was Debbie talking about accountability, and then Maria said, own your crap, okay? And I teach and talk and live this whole beautiful essence of accountability. I call it ownership. It's freedom. So when we give up our power to an external agency, that's when we're in the victim. And the work that I do with my clients is to help them get into a place of ownership, accountability, personal power, self-governance, sovereignty, conviction, badassery, as I like to say,
I love
and
that, Janet. That assery.
badassery.
Catherine
that's
Brewer's here, by the way, my friend.
Catherine. I love that woman.
She's
I love
loving
you.
on you. She said that, I love that, shaken out of our complacency.
Ooh, so how do we feel that calm and the joy and the ease and stay in our personal power, being unaltered by external circumstances? So that's why I'm here today. You can see that I'm showing up in my contribution and participating fully, even though I have multiple reasons not to. So in January, well, actually at the end of last year, I had systemic hives all over my body. And early in mid-January, my throat started closing. I was having a histamine response more than my hives already were talking to me about. And I drove myself to the emergency room, and a day and a half later, I went unconscious in my bathroom. And I smashed my head and my nose, and that fall caused a concussion. And then I got up to go find my phone to dial 911, and I went unconscious again and fell backwards. So I have like a double concussion, traumatic brain injury, lots of physical injuries too. So I've been bedridden, no income, needing people to be here every day to help me with basic life skills and tasks. And then that all stopped on March 14th when shelter in peace. And so how does somebody like me or somebody like you, whether you have a health issue or not, but how do you navigate life? This is real life. Life is the workshop. How do you navigate that where you can actually enjoy your day and you can stay connected to yourself and others, be unaltered by circumstances, de-escalate stress and trauma, enhance creativity, and do corona apocalypse from a place of calm and joy. So I'm going to show you my signature neutrality practice. Before I do that, Visible Transitions is the name of my business. It is also the name of my photographic methodology. And that was born 11 years ago during another health crisis. And it helped me live, because at that point I did not want to live. And not too long ago in March, I was ready to check out. So Visible Transitions has 3 keys to help you with de-escalating the stress and the anxiety and the overwhelm and bringing in the joy and the calm and the personal power. So the first key is photographing your emotions. And earlier today, Laura was speaking about her grief and how she's being with it. And that's really smart. So again, I said earlier, like what we resist persists. So what we resist becomes reality. If I was resisting my grief would become a bigger reality. And so I do it myself. I've been doing it for 7 months as well. But I have my clients take pictures of their emotions. Like, what does that look like? Now, I don't have time to show you the 3 keys today. I'm going to show you the meat and potatoes in a little bit. But just imagine all the emotions that arise. And when we take pause, there's more than one emotion, typically more than one emotion or feeling. Multitudes, they're not negative, they're not positive. They're emotions that are giving us a message. that we can be curious about. That's interesting. I'm feeling anger towards XYZ. That's interesting. I'm feeling really attached to XYZ. So how do we get to that neutral, the middle state, the non-dual state? That's the teaching. We need duality in order to exist. Black, white, light, dark, big, small. Republicans, Democrats, not that we really need those, but so there's so many dualities, and you know, the sun and the moon and the earth moving, and we need those dualities in order to exist. They are existential dualities. However, we do not need to live in duality here. And this is where the suffering comes. So when we are just being with our emotions, like grief, as Laura was speaking to, then we are in the driver's seat. We are in the personal power, in the driver's seat. That's when we can be proactive versus reactive. That's where we develop our resilience. It's where we can release overwhelm, stress, and anxiety. I mean, there's so many benefits just to taking photos of your emotions. And Rhonda, me when you need to, because I just get in a zone. So
yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
What does it mean when you take a picture of your emotion? Are you taking a picture of you, or like what you see and looking at it? Like, what is that? How does that work?
Both. And I can post a few examples in the Facebook page afterwards. So I can take pictures of myself, pantomiming or really being in the emotion. Let's see, I take a picture of a plant that represents resilience. I feel resilient right now. What does it look like? It looks like a very happy plant. I'm going to go take a picture of a plant. So the pictures can be abstract, they can be symbolic, maybe resilience looks like this flower. You know, I would take a picture of the unopened bud, and then a picture of the open bud, for example. So I would have that duality to look at.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have my clients, I have like Scrabble letters and all kinds of Scrabble board letters. So I'll have my clients spell the word, the emotion or feeling, and then they take a picture of that. Wow. So the purpose is that you're looking through a different lens. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take a picture of us right now. You're looking through a different lens, which is the point. Instead of this context I talked about earlier, all our conditioning and assumptions and opinions, look through a different lens. And when you're doing that, you're activating the part of the brain where it activates serotonin and dopamine. So those are the feel-good chemicals. Now you're also activating new neurons, neuroplasticity, because it's actually an act of learning. When you take a picture with intention, like, okay, my intention is I'm going to take a photo of my emotion. That's intentional. You are literally activating new neurons. And the only way to change an attitude, a mindset, a pattern, a habit is to activate new neural pathways and also do the practice over time. And I will get more into that later. So does that give you a good answer, Rhonda?
It really does. And J.A. Smith was talking about how he had some really big health issues. And I was just talking to him saying, you know what you're talking about, like the duality? It sounds like, because now he's doing really good. It sounds like his physical and things are getting better. And what I'm seeing is what you're saying is that the way that J.A. Smith started out as not feeling good, septic, all these things happening with his body, and he went into a new frame. He started looking in a new lens to be able to, transition his health. And am I understanding that that's how it works? Because when you're able to capture, am I going to be stuck in this for whatever I see here? But taking that picture and being able to see, well, there's another opportunity, it helps us move forward. It seems like I see that connection with what we're talking about.
Sure. Yeah. That will segue to key number 2. And before we do that, the whole point of the key number 1 of taking photos of the emotions is so that you can be with them. And that puts you in the driver's seat, and that lowers your resistance and your stress. Because the emotion is there just to give you a message, but our emotions are not meant to own us and take over our lives. So segueing to what you're saying, the second key is tracking subtle evidence of progress. And I will attempt to show you one picture by sharing my screen. And let's see. And I'm going to just show you a very recent picture since I'm still in this, not fully out of it yet. Oh, you know what? I'm disabled sharing my screen.
I can help change that.
Thank you. So when we track subtle evidences of progress, we are celebrating. Okay, most of us blow off the great things we do, the medium things we do, even the small things that we accomplish. And I say, let's stay in that childlike wonder and celebrate, acknowledge all our efforts. It's not sinful, it's not egotistical. The brain hates change. It hates change. That subconscious brain hates change. So our job is to get it on board with our consciousness so that we can make change with ease, with calmness, with grace, with staying in our personal power, and in a shorter amount of time. Every time you take a picture, when you're tracking your subtle progress, your brain is starting to go, oh, I see that. Oh, okay, I'm feeling safer now. Thank you so much. So I want to show you, there's so many.
And while you're sharing your screen, I will tell you a couple things here. Carolyn C.J. Jones says, I love this idea of owning our emotions. It empowers us. Laura Conklin Nielsen Holbrook said, such a helpful idea of taking pictures of emotions because sometimes impossible to describe in words. And then Debbie Turner said, let's celebrate everything, no matter how small we judge it.
So beautiful, all of what you all said. And when you say celebrate everything, I'm on board, because you'll see some of the pictures here that, some things are not so pleasant, but when we photograph them, again, we get to be with them, and now we're in the driver's seat. Can you see this collage? Yep. Okay. So this collage is in the beginning here is right after my accident. I shared, this is January, this is February, March. I mean, you can see, look at this in 1 month, like all that inflammation.
Wow.
My eyes are starting to come back to somewhat normal. April, May, I'm still having major hive issues, and then the next day I'm like walking out in the sun, and these last two are June, and every day I take a selfie so that I can see my progress, because there were many times, not only did I want to check out, but I feared for my life. I feared that I was going to be an invalid, that I wouldn't see normal again. And I still have some issues, but I'm way better than I was. I had a lot of fears around my health, and because there were so many changes and so much damage. But every day I got to see, well, 2 steps back, but then I saw a step forward. So of course that's developing my confidence in my trust in my healing. And it's getting my brain on board for the healing and for me to make some drastic changes with my own attitude about life, or the way I run my business, or the way I care for my body. There's so many habits and conditionings that still need to be changed. And this is a very easy way to do it. And it takes seconds. You don't have to be a photographer. You don't have to like photography. You don't need to get the lighting right. Like literally the clicking, looking through the lens. It's what's activating new neurons, dopamine, serotonin. Your subconscious is getting on board more and more. It's less afraid to make the changes. And this makes the transitional journey, just the transition in and of itself, makes it so much easier and enjoyable. And it gets you to where you want to go quicker. So if people are interested in either one of those two, stay tuned.
It's very interesting, Janet, because when I first started watching your videos and learning more about you, it was mind-blowing for me. I have not seen anybody do your process. I mean, it really is a signature process.
Yeah, I developed all 3 of these visible transitions and the 3 keys. No one in the world is doing it. And it helped me heal 11 years ago, and it's helping me heal now. You know, in terms of relationship, there's so much value in this. And today I'm focused more on health, and it's mental health, emotional health, physical health, okay? But these techniques work and for so many areas of your life, like relationships, right? The corona apocalypse, the apocalypse is the unveiling of the truth, and relationships are kind of at stake right now. They're like, whoa, is this working? Or maybe, oh my gosh, it's not working, or I didn't even realize that. So all the layers are being dissolved, and we're all seeing the truth of what is in so many areas of our lives. So this helps people to easily diffuse emotional triggers. There's so many triggers right now, just triggers, reaction. And we're not going to accomplish anything until we take that resistance down and our emotional triggers are dissolved, or at least diffused. And then we can be present with ourselves and people, our clients, our partners, our kids, our families, our community. And we can communicate more effectively in a harmonious way, where we're being more curious, we're listening versus talking and speaking and acting out of our triggers. So it leads me to resistance. And there's 2 parts to resistance in my world, in what I teach. One part of resistance is that I want it to go away. I want to push it away. I want to push it down. I'm going to avoid it. That's one. Now the other resistance is give me more, clingy, addictive, attached. That's another form of resistance. Wow. So there's 2 pieces. what visible transitions does is it brings you to this neutral place. And I'm not talking about apathy. This is not apathy. This is the grounded, curious, accepting, it is what it is place right here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where the magic is. It's that non-dual state. So when we're in resistance, we're not here, we're over here or here, and we're being pulled this way or this way. And the third key, which is the neutrality practice, my signature neutrality practice, which I'm going to show you all. This is the best way to reduce or dissolve resistance. All three keys absolutely reduce and dissolve resistance. When I work with my clients, I don't even move forward with a goal or a change until I teach them this and they start reducing their resistance. When we're resistant, we got the blockades up, we're not seeing or hearing the answers, we're blocking quality access to our intuition, our gut instincts, and lots of answers there. How many of you, when you're stressed and you're resistant, you're stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, how many of you realize later that you didn't hear that the answer was given to you, you didn't see it, or you didn't hear it? It was like right there. Okay, me too. So let's not waste any time anymore, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to tell you a quick story before I teach you the neutrality practice. And I'm proving to you how effective this is.
So Janet, before you tell your
yes.
story, can I tell you what a couple things are in our list
Yeah.
we're saying? So Laura Conklin Holbrook is saying that you have additional gifts because of your experiences. So I'm so thankful that you're sharing with us. You know,
well, thank you, Lori. And that's true. I'm a life transitions expert. I have had a lot of doozies. So I can draw wisdom from those as well.
So it's almost as if when something happens to you, you've been able to find the purpose in that and been able to use these tools or learning to put these tools together for what has been working.
True. It is true. And it hasn't been true always, but for the most of my life, it has. But I was living in victim mode for a long time. And anyone really, if they're willing to do the work and help their brain get on board, can deal with life changes such as the corona apocalypse or personal changes with more ease. And in my opinion, there's always a gift. And some people might get pissed off when I say that, and that's fine.
I'm checking your story then, right, Janet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an optimist, and it's gotten me in trouble. I'm an idealist. It's gotten me into trouble, but it's helped me live a really full life and not keep myself stuck in the box.
Mm-hmm.
So January 16th, that morning that I went unconscious twice, and I finally got to my phone and I called the paramedics, and I still want to find out that the woman who answered the phone, I want to find out who she is. She was so amazing, and she just stayed with me, and I felt so held by her. So I get in the ambulance, the paramedic hooks me all up, and I'm laying back. Now remember, I've had these systemic hives for months. My throat closed a couple of nights before this incident. My throat was starting to close in the ambulance. So I'm lying there and I can feel it, and I'm flipping out, and I'm swallowing, and I'm going, I'm kind of having trouble swallowing. Well, I said to the paramedic, I'm going to do my neutrality practice. Not that he even knew what I was talking about, right? He's like, okay. So I'm in the ambulance, and now there's not much in there, so there's not much to see, but I'm like, hair, forehead, I'm looking at him, hair, forehead, eyebrow, eye, nose, lip, teeth, shirt, clipboard, pen, computer.
Janet, at this time, was he thinking you're going crazy because he didn't know what your signature process was?
Well, I actually did it to myself. I mean, I did it quietly. So you can do it quietly or out loud.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it out loud because literally my throat was closing. So I was, so, you know, like syringe, 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 door, 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 window, window, cot, blanket, finger, 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 finger. So you can notice that I'm giving no meaning or color or adjectives or any kind of drama or excitement to what I'm naming, to what I'm seeing. And that's what neutralizes. Okay, so what happened is I did that for 2 minutes. So I was repeating things like here, hair, forehead, eyebrow, you know, syringe, 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 door, door, door. For 2 minutes, the paramedic looks at me, jaw dropped, and he goes, whatever you just did brought all your vitals back to normal.
Wow.
And my heart rate was like 140, which is really high.
Wow, yes.
And my blood pressure was, I don't know, it was like 130/90 or something, which is really high for me too. Yeah. So it brought my vitals back to normal, which helped me, help the inflammation and inflammatory response go down. And I never had a problem with breathing after that. And so that's the neutrality practice. Now I'm going to attempt to show it to you on the screen.
And Janet, while you're doing that, I'll share some more stuff. Okay, so I'm giggling over here because I'm telling you that I feel that this practice is incredible, but it makes me feel like I'm a kindergartner learning something new because it is so interesting how if you take the adjective out of something, you really get to start seeing what is real and being able to take the response at a different level. Debbie Turnus said, I love what Janet is sharing. So much wisdom. Getting out of the victim space takes commitment and conscious choice. Sabina Gork-Schroed, I love, this came down here. Oops, Sabina, I'm sorry. I see Carolyn CJ Jones. Boy, I can relate to playing the victim. I did that for 30 years. Learning to be grateful led me to learn to see blessings in each and every experience, especially the difficult ones. I love that you teach that. So Carolyn is saying, I do too.
Thank you.
I'd like to chat in the near future. Would you be interested? Message me, a miracle happened in your ambulance.
I'm very interested, yes.
And Debbie Turnus says that I can see how this could help with anxiety attacks too.
Yeah, it really has helped. Really has helped with anxiety. So let me show you. I'm going to bring up this photo since it seems to be can you see the two people with the masks on?
I can, and just so you know, we're about 12:40, but we can flow into the symposium since we're sharing and getting close to the end of the day too.
Okay.
Yes.
So right now, masks are a topic of inflammation and resistance and upset. And so I thought I would use that kind of image right now to show people the neutrality practice again. And, don't believe a word I say. And I usually start off with that. Don't believe a word I say. Experiment with what you learn and then see how your life changes. Okay. And it will. Now the brain hates change, so it's going to be something where you're doing this practice repeatedly. It's consistency and repetition over time. So if you're walking down the street or you're in a store and you see somebody with the mask, here's how you do the practice, right? Hair, forehead, eyebrow, eyebrow, eye, nose, mask, ear, neck, skin, shirt. And you keep repeating it. Hair, forehead, eyebrow, eye, nose, mask, ear, skin, neck, shirt. So notice how I'm not saying black mask. I'm not saying red shirt. I'm not saying what is that, like tiger or something, right? Like,
Like
I'm not saying black hair. I'm not saying brown eyes. I'm not saying brown skin. I'm just making it super, super neutral. And you can do this when you're in an argument with someone. To yourself, quietly, you can start scanning the person and then your surroundings, and it's going to calm you down, get you out of the reactive state, and actually be more present with that person. It creates miracles. I see it all the time. It creates miracles in relationships. So when you're out there or you're looking at yourself with a mask on, you do the same with yourself. If you're upset with yourself, if you're going through a health issue right now and you're not happy with the way you look or you feel, you can do this neutrality practice all over your body. And the point is that there's no color, no shapes, so there's no adjectives. And that's what makes it very bland and makes it neutral. So the idea is you want to get to the neutral space. So instead of orange lily, or orange or lily, I just say flower. And then I say leaf. I don't say orange lily, I just say flower. I've got my collection of sunglasses, but I instead of saying green and gold sunglasses, pink sunglasses, white heart-shaped sunglasses, pink glasses, rainbow glasses, I just say sunglasses or glasses. And it takes the excitement out, but it's the excitement that gets us attached or have that aversion. So once you start to practice this regularly, you're going to notice how much in tune you are with yourself, how you can quickly calm down, especially if you're in an argument or you're like inflamed on Facebook. I'm going to be right. Instead of doing that, like, just take a pause and look at your surroundings and just start doing the practice. So again, the brain hates change. It takes 90 to 265 days to make a lifelong change. So you got to do this with repetition and consistency over time. And actually, for my listeners today, I'm offering a special, so we can talk about that at the end.
Yeah, Janet, what is your special? You have a lot of people here interested in wanting to know how to be able to also do some joint ventures.
Okay.
Sabina is talking about how powerful and inspiring your story is, and thank you for sharing with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I know that being vulnerable and transparent for most people, and myself as well in the past, feels unsafe because then people have taken advantage of that. And I say that you create some really good boundaries, do this kind of practice to keep you in your personal power, and then being transparent and vulnerable is not an issue. And I believe being an effective leader is because I let people know who I am, because we trust those we know the most, even if we don't like some things about that person.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get support with how to be badass in the middle of a corona apocalypse, that's sort of a general term, and you want to learn these practices, my special is a $97 Zoom coaching session with me. It's a $220 value. And so I'm giving a Fresh Inspiration Show special for $97. And it'll be a confidential one-on-one with me. And you'll get very focused attention, and I'll zone in on what you need and what is the best practice for you. And I'll put the link in here where you can schedule the $97 session.
Yeah, April Wall said, I am totally interested in multiple levels. Thank you, Janet. Yes,
Thank you, April.
Put that in there.
Yeah, I'll put that in. I want to say one more thing, if that's okay, if I can share.
Janet, why not?
Okay, well, so I've been talking about, being incapacitated since mid-January, and I've been working with Dr. Amy Schaus, and some of you have seen me interview with her. You can go to my YouTube channel, and she's my integrative doctor, and she said, she says that this process is the missing piece to her practice, because she treats people, but she doesn't have capacity to do all the emotional and mental support as well. And a lot of practitioners and doctors are now saying that to me, that this is filling that vacuum. And working, so I'm saying this because Dr. Schaus got to see me, witness me use my own tools on myself. And she said she had never seen this with any patient. She'd never seen a patient get over her resistance to what needed to be done so easily and quickly. She's never had a patient that's been like so accountable and aware of her process. So she's like, wow, this really works. And so I am no longer pre-diabetic. That is a huge deal. Pre-diabetic is like diabetes too. Most of America is diabetic because of the poor food. So I'm no longer pre-diabetic. My cholesterol is excellent. I had a parasite, which was, we think, the cause of all the hives and all that. That's gone. I'm down 47 pounds, even in the middle of menopause. My inflammation markers are back to normal. My metabolic markers, which is the immune system, are on the up and up. And
I love it.
This is in, 6.5 months with a brain injury, no income, corona apocalypse. And I just gave you like a whole list of amazing results. And that's what visible transitions can do for you.
I love this information. And the thing is that as you were talking about it, I really wanted to type in everything because I wanted to capture what you were saying. It's so unique in what you are doing, and also that other people are acknowledging it, in the professional world. I can't believe the transformation that you had, because usually what I hear when people have brain injuries, being in the health and wellness industry, and I do work with some people that have had brain injuries, is that they feel that they can't remember things because of their brain injury, that they can't do certain things because of their brain injury. So sometimes there's the scared factor too, and the limitation. So with using this neutrality practice and learning even to take pictures of different emotions and the dichotomy, what I'm learning is that everybody could use this in any part of, like, saying you're going for a job interview, like something so basic, but it's a meaningful thing. You want to go and get a job. If you're feeling
So true.
some health stuff, how to get in there so that you, like, I would say, like, people who have eating stuff where they struggle in the emotion around eating. So I'm
So helpful.
you talk about that, like, you can make this list of how this can be used. And so for my journey, I was thinking about how our bodies are emotional. We're emotional beings. We're just with Laura with her horses, and how you are saying, yeah, we are emotional beings, because not speaking very much and being able to be in tune, that's like all beings. But when you start using your neutrality practice, that it brings down the adjectives, the idea that you can handle things, because your brain is not going into the adjective space, all the emotions. It's coming right back into, I see you computer, I see you microphone, and you start seeing truth, and your brain won't take off on you. And so I learned how powerful that experience is, and that's why I asked you to be here, because that was really fun. That was my big aha. It just opened up and exploded how this can be used in so many ways.
Beautiful.
Do you have some stuff you wanted to add too?
Oh, I just love that whole that intentionality around that. I've had anxiety attacks since I was like 10, and I've learned to manage all of that. And it's when you stop all the madness that's going on around you, like, I imagine that calms your nervous system as well, when you start focusing on those simple things without all the judgments and stuff. I love that.
So true, Debbie. Yes, it actually puts you into parasympathetic, which is why why my vitals went back to normal. So it puts you into the parasympathetic, right? Because those judgments or stories, assumptions, opinions, again, that's through the context. And we make up stuff all the time. I'm not wronging it. It's just that we don't have to live in what we make up. And maybe you've seen it out there, like, don't believe everything you think, because a lot of it is just not true.
Right.
And it hurts relationships. I mean, I'm going through that right now with a couple of relationships where the people they're treating me through their context of opinions and conditioning and assumptions. And it's painful. I mean, it really is painful. But I stopped them and I said, hey, hang on, that's your opinion. Yeah. That's your assumption. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
And it stops the neutrality practice stops that madness. I like how you said that.
Yeah.
Stop the madness.
Oh, you know what?
The madness.
And Janet, you know what I was thinking? Because I started the Fresh Inspiration Show because I love movies and I love music. So I feel like this show is about getting away. Like, you just all of a sudden just totally want to get away. So I was thinking of, like, when your loved ones, like people that you think are your friends, and they're coming at you because they maybe don't understand you, because now you're very loud and proud, like, this is what I do. And so it can scare some people. I was just enjoying the fact of when somebody's coming at you like that all of a sudden you just start saying, hair, nose, pant. They're like, Janet is crazy. And you go, crazy. No. hair. You know what I mean? Like,
it's so true.
It's oh, you keep going, my friend.
I was just going to say, it stops fights. I have so many clients who come back to me and say, oh my God, my husband and I, my son and I, my daughter and I, we started going at it, and I started doing the neutrality practice. And my daughter's like, I did it to myself, and my daughter's like, Mom. And what happens is, when you're doing that neutrality practice, you're calming the hell down. Well, guess what? That person has nothing to feed on.
Yep.
right? Because that resistance is feeding the fire. So when you stop that resistance by pausing and doing the neutrality practice, suddenly the other person has nothing to feed. You're not feeding that fire of that person. It's pretty epic.
Yeah.
It sounds like monumental, like from an energetic standpoint. Like if somebody's going at it and somebody's just like not. Like that's a really big visual, the way that you described that, Janet.
Yeah, it's monumental energetically. And by the way, I'm going to start this. I'm going to start I don't know if it's called a campaign or whatever, but dissolving road rage. So this is excellent when you're driving. Excellent. And I'm a Irish, Italian, Erie's Bostonian. Okay, so I get a lot of fire and a little bit of patience. And I'm in Sonoma County where everyone drives slow. So I'm driving behind a lot of slow people, and I'm like, could you just put your foot on the metal? And then I have the awareness, oh, resistance, and then I just go, tire, window. I read the letters on the license plate, tree, fence, sky, cloud. Well, I don't look up too high, right, when I'm driving. Pole, tire.
Yeah, mine's like, if the light's not going to get any greener.
I know. What do you need, an invitation?
Catherine Brewer, a little bit ago, said, thank you, Janet. Not only do we have our own triggers, but many of us are picking up all the fear. Yep. That's so true. She says, confusion and grief from the practice your process can help us diffuse that as well. And Laura actually added in that she was saying to Catherine, because as you were speaking, this conversation was happening. Laura said, I agree. I'm just learning that many of the emotions I'm feeling are not originating from me. That was a big awareness for me, is when you can feel somebody's emotions, but you're reacting to it. So now you're both in this engagement of that you're both at each other, because one really feels it, the other, you're holding the space for that person too when that comes into you.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're both at each other, but your neutrality practice allows that to block and be able to, so that person gets to not feel like, oh, they're a victim. They say, oh, I need to be listening to myself because the other person isn't engaging with me. So I love that you brought up.
That's a great example. And in a more global level for that statement, people like myself who are very empathic and sensitive can take on a field of emotions. And as Laura was saying, she realized that some are not hers. So you can do the neutrality practice I think it can help create that boundary where you don't bring other people's emotions in. And then also I would take pictures of, I would also do the key number one is to take the photos of emotions, even if you're not sure that they're yours or not.
Ooh, I love that. So Kim Cork came in. Kim, you're cracking me up. When we were prepping for this day and we were discussing things on social media, Kim brought up that it's the blonde brigade. And and it said, hey, I'm not blonde, I'm gray. And so then my comeback to Kim was, and Kim Cork, she actually loves on us because she has Planet Love Yourself, and she is a love bug. And so I love that she's giving us crap, because she's like, how dare you want to have all these blondes? Like, this is a blonde brigade.
I just happened to get my appointment too when they opened the hair salons for a 2-week period. I immediately called, and because my corona hair was like this much grown out, and I was seriously contemplating, do I just like go all gray, or do I stick with the blonde a little bit longer?
Exactly.
It was one of those things, right?
Now, Debbie, now we're talking about current times here. And the issues we have,
Yes.
Laura Conklin Holbrook said, I can see how the conflict will stop escalating with a neutrality process, any conflict that you're having. And I'll try it. You are bringing more peace to the earth.
It's so true. It's so true. So spread the love, because this can really help spread the peace to the earth. And right now, all the people out there that would like more peace inside and with your people, these practices are super helpful. They're simple and they're quick. And again, the brain needs repetition and consistency. So be in touch with me so I can support you with that. It's not a one-time deal, although it can work one time here and there. But if you want like a lifelong change, then it takes that consistency over time.
Laura wanted to add in before we transitioned.
Thanks, Laura.
She said, I'm so excited to try the neutrality process. Now I have a new tool to manage those overwhelming emotions.
Yeah, and I think, Laura, it's really helpful for brain injury, because I can go into overwhelm pretty quickly, like out of nowhere. And it's been really helpful for me to calm down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was watching one of your things where you're saying that it can, all of a sudden something comes at you and it's like, all of a sudden you want to yell because your brain can only handle so much.
Yeah.
And it's great for Laura to hear about this, because Laura was talking about that she, has had brain injury also. And so for you, the audience that is dealing with, over emotion, having brain injury, trying to find things to help calm your relationships, things that are not serving you, I believe that the stuff we've been talking about today, please tell me, are these things that we're bringing up today helping you before you exit out of here, and being able to be at a higher frequency, really believing that whatever you felt when you first came in, that I think we got some great tools from Janet Kaleri. And
yeah. And again, just go out and experiment with them. And because the change happens when we take the action and we have a somatic experience. That's when the change occurs. And please feel free to be in touch and share your experience through your experimenting. And you can find me either at janetkaleri.com or visibletransitions.com. It goes to the same place. And of course on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm not really much on Twitter.
What are all the other ones, huh?
Yeah.
So thank you, Janet, for being here.
You're welcome.
Fresh inspiration.